Hi everybody, it's Az here from Heel vs Babyface. So, a few days ago, I did a video on a treasure scenario in Suramar. Now, it's officially called the Withered Army Training, and it pops every few days. Not every day, maybe not every couple of days, but every few days. Because it's one of the world quests, it goes on world quest rotation, and therefore can pop up at any time. So you might get it more than some people, you might get it a little bit less than others. But today we're going to go back inside and I'm doing a different tactic. I want to take in a lot more soldiers. So instead of the 8 to 10 which I've taken in before, I'm actually going to use 1,300 ancient mana. So nearly all of my ancient mana resources. And I'm going to take 15 troops into this scenario with me. And the plan for today is to try and get out as many of the treasure chests as I possibly can. Now, if you've seen the previous video, and I do recommend that you do go see the previous video before watching this to get an understanding of how the scenario works, you'll be aware that I took one chest out last time and it required 10 of my troops to teleport out. With having 15, if I did that, I'd be left with 5 troops, I'd be a little bit in a stuck. So I'm going to try and concentrate on getting the smaller treasure chests, the 5-person treasure chests, which you can teleport out, and therefore, in the hope, at least anyway, is to retain the bulk of my army to go a little bit deeper into this scenario, and fingers crossed, let it reveal some other secrets. Now, I was going to edit this video down and just show you various snippets, but I've decided against that, and I've decided to give you the full 20 plus minutes of this run. And the reason why is I want you to see exactly what tactics I'm using first of all. As you can see, I'm going around the circumference of this room first before pulling the big ad. Therefore, we can concentrate on this, concentrate on interrupting its abilities, and therefore it won't scare the troops and it won't cause the troops to scatter. And also, because I want to show you the sort of like the level and the scale of what this scenario can actually do, because you're not up against the clock. And I think it's a really good idea that you're not up against the clock, because the scenario in itself provides you with enough choices, with enough tactics to choose how you want to progress. So if you put that up against the clock, then it kind of ruins things, because then it makes you, more often than not, make the same decision over and over again to get whatever you want. You may also notice that I have a much larger troop in my band of brothers today, and that is the Berserker. At the end of the last video, I got the Berserker helmet. I used it, and every time I summon an army now, I get the Berserker. Now, I do know this for a fact because I've summoned 2 of these armies since the last video that I put out, and both of them have had the Berserker inside. Now, again, referring back to the previous video, I required 10 troops to open this door, but you'll notice the big treasure chest has gone. So once you teleport a treasure chest out of the instance, it goes for good. Now, I could go inside that room, and with my previous run that you never saw, I actually went in that room with about, I think it was 9 to 12 troops, and I nearly killed, including one Berserker, and I nearly killed that mob that had 37 million health. So I probably could go in the room with the troops that I had now and kill her. That would probably give me a pretty decent score, but that's not the plan of action. Again, as I've mentioned before, this scenario requires tactics about how you're actually going to do it. And if you just do it willy-nilly, the chances are you'll come out with not too much. So the tactics today are to try and keep the army in check, try and keep as many as alive as possible, and try and get as many of the smaller chests, the 5-person chests out that I possibly can. And the more I can get out of them, it's going to give us a good idea about the loot that's inside of them, and whether or not they could benefit myself personally as a player, or whether or not it benefits my army as a whole. Now, judging by the fact that the 10-person chest gave me the the Berserker helmet, I'm hoping that there's more troop stuff in these chests, because the stronger your army gets, the deeper and the further that you can go into this scenario. So, right behind me already, there's a treasure chest. Before I go and teleport it out, look, don't put yourself at a disadvantage. Clear stuff out. Clear this. I'm going to clear this whole area out. There's no reason for me to just teleport out immediately. There you go. That whole place has now been cleared. Gonna go back and take 5 troops. If you didn't see the previous video, and you might be wondering what is the action button in the middle, just give it a quick refresher. When I press it in its current format, my troops will go into a berserk mode and they'll deal 75% extra damage. And then once I want to get my troops back, because they'll just kind of like run around like mentalists because they've gone all berserk, when I press it again, the troops will gather up on me. And it's a bit of a risk, because obviously if you stray too far away from your troops, then it can cause your troops to panic, and your troops can then start to try and desert. And if you've got to try and get rid of or bring back a deserter to the fold, it's going to let you leave the other troops, which could cause them to go away. Look, it's a vicious circle, put it that way. What you need to do is keep control of these troops all the time. So you'll notice that I'm being very, very cautious indeed. I'm making sure that I don't stray too far from them. I'm really kind of being specific when I use the 75% damage increase, because of course this is where they go crazy. And then I go back into the middle, literally the physical middle of the troops, and then bring them all back into line. So, this is going pretty well thus far. I've got 12 troops, because I've managed to acquire a couple more troops en route. And remember, I've sent 5 of them out with the first chest. So, this is a decent run. So, if you kind of go down this avenue of cautiousness, you can still maintain a large army. And the reason why I want to try and maintain the large army is not because I just have enough troops to keep teleporting the chests out, but because I want to try different tactics. The next tactic that I want to attempt is to go as deep into the dungeon as possible. And by that, I'm still going to do things like this, go down into these areas here and clear out the mobs. But I'm going to be doing it near to withered troops that I can recruit into the army. And I'm not going to be taking any chests in the next run. This is purely to try and amass as large an army as possible and go deep into the dungeon and see how far we can actually get, and pretty much just see what we can get. What is the final point of the dungeon? Does it have a final room, which I would imagine that it does? How much health will the final boss have, if it's going to have a final boss situation, which again I believe it will have, and all these kind of shenanigans. So lots of questions to be answered here. Again, there was a treasure chest underneath the staircase. It's going to require 5 of my troops to teleport out. I'm not wanting to put my army at a disadvantage, so I'm just going to keep hold of everybody first and just clear out this whole room. Get all the ads from downstairs and wipe them out. And do remember, of course, every ad kill is important for your score, because the higher you score, the bigger your baseline reward will be when you leave the scenario. All these chests, which I'm going to be picking up in today's video, they're extras. They're like additional bonuses to my score treasure chest. So, yeah, always make sure that you kill as many of these as possible. Utilising your troops, look how quickly when you gang up on stuff, they die. They do not last long. And if you can focus all the attention of the mob attacks on yourself... Now, for me, it's great as a demon hunter, because every time that I kill a creature, I get a fractured soul, which heals me back up. And because there are so many creatures, if I maintain all of the threat on me and stop the mobs from running wild within my troops, I can just kill, heal, and it's a really nice way to go further in depth. And a couple of questions I was asked on my previous video was, do you think tanks are going to have a significant advantage in a scenario like this? Possibly. There's the possibility of that, because a tank can hold threat, and that's exactly what you want in something of this ilk. You don't want the mobs to be running riot within your troops. You don't want to have your troops scared because they're taking lots of damage and therefore they start to desert. So a tank is a really good method and a feasible option to bring in here. Healer? No. Because a healer is looking for, a healer's looking to repair damage. What you're not wanting is your troops to take damage. That's what's going to start freaking them out. That's what's going to cause them to try and desert. No. Now, there's another treasure chest here, but this one is a 10-person. Now, I've only got 8 troops, so I couldn't teleport it out anyway, but I don't want to, because that would end the scenario. If I managed to find another couple of withered troops and then go back and open it, it would be scenario over. I'd have the 2 smaller chests and the 1 larger chest, but I want to try and get as far into this as I possibly can. So that's a nerdy no-no for that 10-person chest. That will be for another time. I'm probably going to go for the 10-person chests when I can hold over 2,000 ancient mana for myself, and that way I can take the full 20 troops, which seems to be the biggest number of base troops that you can start with to begin this scenario. Now, people who are getting an understanding from seeing last time's video and this time's video about how this operates might be feeling, but what if I only have 800 mana and therefore I can only bring 8 troops into this scenario? Well, that's when you just have to sort out your own tactics. I mean, bearing in mind that we have now discovered you can find items to increase the power of your army, i.e. I've now got myself a berserker. It might just be worth the first few times that you come into this scenario, it might just be worth sacrificing your own personal gain for the strength of your army. And what I mean by that is, even if you can only afford for the first few times to bring 8 troops in, then why not use those 8 troops to always take out a 5-person chest? And then potentially inside that chest there might be something to increase the power of your army, so at least the next time that you're going into that scenario you might be stronger. So that would be the kind of tactic that I would personally go down. You as a character, you as a player in the world of Warcraft are always getting gear by whatever method it may be. Dungeoneering, raiding, world questing, yada yada yada. To put yourself on the back burner and allow the army to flourish first. Yes, I was looking up at the top, because if you've been on the beta for this place, Falanar, there are spider creatures here, and they do come down from the ceiling, so be very aware of your surroundings. So yeah, it might just be worth sacrificing your own personal gain, letting your army start to flourish, let your army start to build up in strength, and then when you do have the capacity to have a lot more ancient mana, and therefore bring a stronger army into this place, when you bring the 15 troops or so that I've brought in today, you might have a berserker in there. You might have, extra bonuses on top of it to go in there. Now then, I'm just making sure, because I'm down to currently 3 troops, I've got out 3 5-person chests. Now, what I'm kind of concentrating on is keeping my troops as alive as possible and sneaking the odd small chest if possible. The smaller chests, they appear to be more on just a random pop-up. They don't require any of your troops to get out. They're instant open up and gratification. But I still want to play it easy, because this is where the scenario ended last time. And that's when I panicked. I got the call to look out, and I was like, where? And then nothing appeared. Now, this was the exact spot last time that my run came to an end, because suddenly a big mini-boss came in and just started to run rampant in our troops, kicked the living shit out of me, annihilated my troops, and I was down to, I think, 1 troop anyway, or 2 troops. So, yeah, that was not a pretty sight. Now, thankfully, he didn't appear, so it looks like he may appear randomly, so I'm constantly on my guard now. But I managed to find an additional troop, which takes me back up to 4. If I can find just 1 more troop and get a 4th 5-person treasure chest out, that would be what I would call an absolute win for this scenario. But at the same time, still making sure that I keep my score ticking along, because that score right at the top there, that score will dictate my own personal loot for this place. But of course, you know, things aren't going to go plain sailing, are they? But the good news is, now that I'm going slightly further into the scenario, I'm going to start to learn a few more things about it, which again just kind of makes me salivate for the next time that I can come into this area. So there are plenty of tactics that you can adopt, plenty of tactics that you can use. There's still, look at all this. This room here is rampant, and this is all part of the scenario still. So I could, in theory, jump down there if I wanted to, but no, I'm going to skirt around the edges for now, and let's see if we can just skulk around the edges and see what that gets us. So yeah, so going back to what I was saying, you can clearly see, if you're tactically minded, the various elements which have to come into play here. The various elements for whether or not you are going to maximize the amount of loot for yourself or for your raid personally. Now, a little bit of a mistake there. I didn't want to bring the second wraith in. I wanted to just do them one at a time. Unfortunately, that didn't quite work out for me. But I berserked the troops, just to get them as powerful as I can. Went into beast mode myself, turned into metamorphosis, and managed to burn down one relatively quickly. And then when the first one's down, second one is easy to control, because I can always interrupt and stun the big explosions. He said, missing the big explosion. Whoopsie-daisy, never mind. And then gather control of my troops again. Now, if you want to check how your troops are doing, you simply have to scroll over the number at the top, and it'll tell you what their approximate health is. So I just had a look at my 4 troops, and it says their health pool was about 53%. So that's not bad. That's not bad at all, considering how much fighting I've been doing, and how they actually took a little bit of a battering off those 2 wraiths. I'm actually very pleased that they're still over halfway. And if you're wondering what those arrows are that are coming in from the side, that is actually a shoulder enchantment, or an enchantment, maybe a back enchantment. But that's actually an enchantment that every so often, a volley of arrows will come in on the target that you got targeted. Funny enough. Now, this is where things start to go a little bit okay. You'll first of all see that there's a big treasure chest. So that's going to be a 10-person treasure chest by the side there. I've managed to get myself an additional troop, which brings me to the 5 troops. So if I can find a 5-person treasure chest, that would be amazing. But also, the doorway here, that can unlock if I find a respective key. If I can find Dro's key, then I can go further into this instance, and there's the 10-person chest. So there we have more questions being asked of us. So it's not just a matter of some of the special doors that the berserkers can smash through. There is actually just some wooden doors which require specific keys. Therefore, we have to find what I would guess to be the mini-bosses, defeat the mini-bosses, and get the keys off them. And there we go, here we go. She screams, "Look out!" again. And here we go. It's Dro himself. So Dro is going around absolutely annihilating my army. I haven't got a lot of people left. He's got 24 million, and he's wrecking my face. So this, unfortunately, is where it's going to come to a close to me. I try and escape. I try and get myself out of combat and then get the troops back together. Doesn't work. And then Dro just comes along and twats me in the face. So if I had a much larger army, could have taken Dro. So next time when I come in here, I'm just going to bring all of the troops, leave the treasure chest, do the fighting to get the score up, and then crack some mini-boss faces. So there we go. Huge chest for my score, and then the 3 mini chests which I got out. So 3 Blood of Sargeras, which is the crafting region, cloak, reputation tokens, and all that kind of jazz. Some power for my artifact weapon as well. So an okay haul, pretty decent haul. All in all, then the treasure chest, very interesting. First item, reduces the chance that your withered troops will run away when injured. So that is excellent. So if my troops take damage, they might not start to desert. And then this one increases the health of your troops by 25%. So that's an amazing piece. And then a quest item, which I got to hand back in at the base of Shalanar. With that done, accept this quest. What is going to happen here? So when I accept this, I can take the teleporter straight back to base. And what I did find, I probably kind of guessed what this was going to be, but still it was good fun, was the fact that you can now bring your bank to Shalaran, not Shalanar, Shalaran. You can bring your bank to Shalaran. So instead of having to go back to Dalaran or having to go back to where your Hearthstone is situated, because that's your main base of operations, I can actually plonk this treasure chest here and I'll have full access to all of my banking stuff. So that's pretty cool, pretty convenient, and allows me to dump stuff off as and when I require. So there we go. Because my second tactical run of this scenario, it means next time I go in, my troops, they're going to be more resilient to deserting, and also they're going to be 25% stronger in health, which means people like that Drow guy at the end, he's going to get it. I mean, trust me, he's going to get it. So I hope you enjoyed the vid. If you did, do give it a thumbs up and also subscribe to my channel. Follow me on social media and Twitch for live streaming. Links, they're in the description down below. And I'll be back with some more stuff very soon. You take care, everybody. Bye-bye.